welcome on Sunday afternoon to join the Vietnamese English one as well. Yes, okay.
Thank you so much. Sadhu, sadhu.
We'll just wait a few minutes.
So, can I say something before I chant?
Go ahead, Zhao. Yes. Oh, look how big Hey Hey is now.
Okay.
Right.
And I've been following the discussion these past few days, and I really enjoy it's so I think all of those things is my inspiration on the path of studying Dhamma. So Kunsara, yesterday I sent to you an email, but it cannot delete because wrong address. So today I try to explain by myself my question. So thank you for giving me opportunity to bring up my opinion. So my question relates to the inspiration I followed long time ago. But yesterday, when Ajahn has many questions about the Mickey Mouse, so I feel very, very deep thinking, deep thought about this. So I think lucky for me to have the opportunity to hear such teaching like this. So I think all of those things are my inspiration on the path of studying Dhamma. So Ajahn and others, would you please say something about some characteristic of reality relate to inspiration or motivation and the ultimate Dhamma? Thank you. I try to say, but I don't think you understand all of what I say. But please help me.
I think the main point, Ajahn, if you missed the start, was that Zhao was talking about the inspiration from what he heard yesterday and how it's a motivation for him, and he would like to know what the Dhamma is that is inspiration. This is his question.
Thank you, sir.
I think the inspiration is the understanding that finds something meaningful. So another person hearing what Ajahn had to say about Mickey Mouse may not be inspired because they may not get the point. But if one can relate what is being said to the present moment, then it can be an inspiration. And I think when we talk about inspiration, we are talking about having something explained in a way that perhaps we haven't heard it before, so that something becomes a little bit clearer, and we can call that inspiration. So just the same realities as usual. It needs understanding to be inspired. One can't be inspired unless there's a basis for the inspiration in terms of the Dhamma.
Thank you, John.
When I heard the word madman, it's not just hearing about the word, but is it true? And what truth is there? Madness. at moment of looking at something like the newspaper or the book, with the line, curve or straight, short or long, it conditioned idea about that. Just like now, whatever heard can be understood that it's just like now, the same. Looking up, we take from Mickey Mouse, from line, curve, straight, or short or long, just like now. So at moment of being here, it's just like moment of read the newspaper about people and things and situation, or the picture as Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse, and laugh right now. We are talking to what which is seen, taking for people and things, and this word conditioned to be heard. And after that, thinking again about that which is heard, like that which is seen, and follow madly about the story, this and that, just on the paper, newspaper only. See, is it not moment of being mad, crazy? What is there? Nothing, only that which is seen in truth. But the thinking, follow the seeing, taking what is seen as something, smiling or crying or whatever, about the earthquake and so on. But actually, it's just a moment of experience, that which is seen or heard and then gone forever, never to arise again, and dreaming about again and again on the newspaper or here exactly the same, or on the screen. And this is the wider screen, no matter where we are, full of people and things. But in truth, it's only a moment of citta after seeing, thinking about that, and then gone, never to arise again. That is the way to understand the truth, that actually nothing can be taken for I or anyone or anything at all. But the madman takes everything and pick up everything, put it in the basket and carry on and on and on. See, is it true right now? Just not thinking about anyone, but the moment when citta is conditioned to arise, one by one, follow one another, continuously, taking it that which is experience for something, even it's not seen. But we keep on talking of a Minnie Mouse and Mickey Mouse. Even now, this moment, we do not see the picture of that which is taken for, this is Minnie Mouse and that is Mickey Mouse. See? From that, dreaming, thinking on and on about what is seen, heard, smelled, tasted, touched, that's all. So the citta is the chief of experiencing whatever in life appearing through the sixth way only. Seeing, now is the word of sight, the word of seeing, thinking about different colors as different people and different things. But in truth, it's only just look at it and think of someone or something by shape and form. And from life to life, when there's no understanding of the truth, there must be wrong understanding added each moment, on and on and on, until death. So wise considering is a moment of, even now, no Mickey Mouse or Minnie Mouse or the paper to be thought about. But what about now? Exactly the same. Different Jonathan, not Mickey Mouse, and Sarah, not Minnie Mouse. See, but Sarah and Jonathan, instead, different story. See, but the truth is that what is there is conditioned just to arise, experience an object, and then gone, never to arise again. And we talk about the realities which is different in a moment, from moment to moment, not the same at all. As it's still there, my house, my friend, all the time, until the understanding of the truth is gradually developed to be a moment of understanding the difference between moment without understanding at all and moment of begin to understand the truth of what is there, from hearing again and again until it's so firm. Because hardness is now so true at moment when it's there, touch. But it's not that which touch, it's that which is touch. In a day, the reality which arises and experiences the object from moment to moment, condition the idea of it's not just hardness, but it's something, microphone or glasses or whatever it's there in life, and then all gone after death. But in truth, it's now gone, never to arise again, exactly the same, momentarily death. That is the meaning of anatta, non-self.
I think
Ajahn.
now when we talk about inspiration or motivation, we're talking about what is a condition for interest. So when we hear Ajahn say Mickey Mouse, it may be a condition for interest with attachment, or it may be a condition for interest with a little understanding of the point that is being made about how mad it is taking all these people and things for being real. So we taste delicious food. It may be condition for interest in learning how to cook, or may be a condition for considering how much attachment there is at that time. So depending on accumulations, what is their interest in now? Kusala or akusala interest? Chanda.
Thank you, sir. And a little bit more I would like to bring up today is I feel very difficult to distinguish between book knowledge and right understanding when considering the characteristic of the Dhamma in the present. Because I recognize that I just replay what I remember when considering the characteristic of reality. For example, when I considering the seeing at this moment, the seeing is object, seeing is not hearing, seeing arises by condition, etc. But it's just repeating what I remember and considering your characteristic. So I can maybe have you to point out about this. It would be so helpful to me. Thank you for listening to me. I'm not sure you this understand what I'm trying to say. Thank you.
So what you say is true. This is the wise considering, appreciating that when we just talk about seeing what is visible at this moment, it may just be book knowledge, just repeating what we have heard. This is different from understanding the characteristic of the reality. At lunch, Ajahn asked one of our friends, what appears now at the moment of seeing? And we may just answer visible object, but is it really visible object that appears now, or is it just saying what we think is the correct answer because usually, like with Mickey Mouse, so quickly it's the idea of someone and something, not the understanding of just what is seen, what is visible right now, the color at this moment. But if there's no appreciation, like you mentioned, of the difference between book knowledge and understanding, the book knowledge will be taken for understanding. But the considering about what is true, it has to begin to develop. If there has never been any hearing about seeing or other realities, then there won't be any considering. So the considering begins and develops, but there's bound to be so much doubt, so much ignorance, so much thinking about book knowledge in between.
Thank you, sir. It's so helpful to me.
What about now? What appears now?
I think the seeing Kusa say something, and I'm trying to understand what you said. And in reality, it's just thinking, and there are many processes in my mind, as you have said in the book.
And when it's I am trying to understand, what kind of thinking is it?
So I think so, because with idea of I
I
try to do
trying.
something, but
Yes.
always I think so.
So good to know so many moments of clinging, so many moments even now of thinking of I understanding. But in between, like when considering this, there can be moments of wise consideration and understanding. It is just thinking, not my thinking, different from the seeing or the hearing.
Also, I think there can be paying close attention to what is being said. And because it's not easily understood, there can be a lot of what we might call trying to understand, but it doesn't mean it's being done with attachment to gaining anything. It's just because one is interested in the topic, and the circumstances mean that it's not easy to follow what's being said. And I think he may have been trying to understand in that sense.
So only Panya can know now when we say trying to understand, is it with the idea of I trying, or is it just using some words referring to the careful considering? Only the understanding can know at this very moment.
No matter how many times we heard about that which is seen, that which is seen, that which is seen, but any moment, Kunsara is seen. So there can be the understanding of how much ignorance of what appears not as it is. That's why we learn to understand the true nature of a reality, that it's there in a day or in life. And when the book just talk about seeing, it's not just hearing the seeing and follow the word, but to understand that seeing is there now, to be known. That what is it? What is the nature of seeing? No answer if there is no hearing about the truth of it at all. But begin to consider seeing is not that which is seen. The same word, seeing, but a little more understanding of the truth of it. Seeing is not that which is seen. Is that right? Beginning to be confident of the truth, little by little, from the very beginning, because it's so true. Even we don't say anything about it, but seeing is there, sees, that which is seen, right? Without any word, no idea yet, only the moment of seeing. That which is seen is not the seeing. So the difference is that seeing sees, while that which is seen cannot see. See, if we would say they are different, but what is the difference? That which see is not that which is seen. And at moment of seeing, what are there? Seeing is there, and the object which is seen is there. Other thing else, or just that which can be known, because it's there now, not in the book. The book just talk about the truth of seeing right now. It is the moment of experiencing what is seen now. Only very, very short words about it has to be thought about again and again and again, not to forget to understand the truth that the seeing itself does not appear, but it's there and it's known that it sees. So in order to understand it as it is, if we don't think about it at all, if the idea of seeing, sees, it's a reality, it's just a moment in life, which is moment of seeing only, see, no thought yet about that which is seen. But seeing now sees, it's so true. So begin to understand what is the truth in life. Each moment there is seeing. So seeing is real at moment when it sees. And there's not just seeing, there's hearing as well. And what is the difference between hearing and sound? See, sound now is heard, it cannot experience anything. So at moment of reading or moment of hearing, it's just about that which is right now, to be considered, not to forget, not to think that, oh, it's there, I understand the difference between the two. But actually, it's not just the idea, I understand, but consider the nature of that, which hears. What is the meaning of hearing? It hears, no matter what is heard, it's what word, but it's a reality which is heard right now. So just consider the moment of hearing itself. It's not the moment of seeing. One moment only, experiencing sound, and then gone, never to arise again. Again and again, this is right understanding begins to develop to be firm confidence of the truth, that actually what arises and falls away, never to arise again. How can it be anything or someone? Because it's not there anymore. Beginning to understand life from moment to moment. It's moment of experiencing an object, whether the object is known or not known. When it arises, it's there experiencing an object, because its nature is just arise to experience. The same as the hardness, just arise to be hard. They are dhammas, realities, not belong to anyone. No one can create it to arise, but it's there by conditions. For example, without the eye base, without that which impinge on the eye base, there is no seeing at all. There can never be seeing. Even what is there at the back is not seen, because even it's the reality which is seen, but at this moment it cannot be seen because it does not impinge on the eye base. So even seeing right now is a reality. It's life. Each moment is life. The moment of experiencing an object from birth to death. To understand the truth that actually there is no one at all. That's why Buddha said, or dhammas, whatever is real because it's there, so real, is a Dhamma. Seeing is a moment of seeing. Hearing is a moment of hearing. So in life, only what is experienced through one of the six way, one doorway at a time, just arises and falls away from moment to moment, and then the end of this life. But as long as there are conditions for whatever arise, after that moment, there is what is there, arise again and again by conditions. Where's the I? So we can be this personality of this person only in this life, not next life or past life. And what we take for this person are different moments of experiencing an object with many different realities conditioned to arise together from moment to moment by conditions. So Buddha realized the truth of each moment. What are there together? One is only one. It cannot have two characteristics or two function at all because it's one reality. For example, seeing cannot like. It just arises to see and then gone. And attachment is not seeing, but it share or experience the same object as seeing together, but not at moment of seeing. Just seeing is conditioned. Later on and on, we can know what conditions seeing, vipaka, or cause of result, and so on. But we learn to understand the truth of what is there now when it's there. That's why we're talking about seeing. There is seeing to be attended, to know that it's a reality, it's there. No one makes it arise at all. Because while we're talking or thinking, there is seeing all the time, all day. But the truth is that seeing arises only in one moment, a moment only. There must be the reality which experiences the object, but not the object which is seen yet, until it begins to experience that which impinges, condition it to arise to see or to hear and so on. Who can change? It's already there. Who can make it arise? It is already there. You think that you will do, but it's already thought about that. See, whatever we are talking about is there already, right? No matter what. So learn to understand the truth, and Panya works its way, letting go ignorance about seeing, from hearing again and again, and it now sees again and again to be known, whether it's true or not. As Buddha realized the truth of it, of everything. That's why we can talk about anything, no matter you just talk about.
Yes. And so now, if I can understand some point from your teaching, so that not me, that because not enough condition for Panya appear to understand. So you need to urgent, just have patience. So not me don't understand what you said, but not enough condition for Panya understand what you said.
Yeah. The moment of not understanding is true or not.
The moment of not understanding. It's true.
It's true.
Ignorant.
So it's a reality.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Different from understanding, opposite. So there can be the understanding of the differences between reality. Ignorance cannot understand at all about the truth. If we are so keen in some way, science or what, is it ignorance? To be truthful, why? No understanding of this moment as it is. So what is so true? This very moment only. And what is the root of that? When it's known, it's right understanding of that which is there as it is. Can they be hearing and seeing together at the same time? We just talk about daily life or by conditions. So no matter what is there in a moment, it can be considered carefully, wisely, little by little, because now there is seeing, but seeing does not show up. So how can there be the understanding of the nature of seeing, or that which is there, no shape, no form, not any rupa together with it? It's just the moment of experiencing. And experiencing is not hard or soft. It's that which experience an object, like seeing sees, hearing hears, not anyone, and not more than the moment when it's there and then gone, never to arise again. In samsara, not just today or in this life, in samsara, just once in samsara. And what is meant by samsara? The succeeding moment, from moment to moment, on and on and on, as long as there are conditions. And is this true? It is the first noble truth. Whatever arises, even now, falls away instantly, because seeing is not hearing, it's not thinking. Each is different moment, different characteristic. That's why we learn to understand that no matter we heard about the reality which experiences the object right now, but it's not moment of being acquainted to the reality which cannot be anyone at all. It's only that which arises to experience. So the question again is about what is there now?
In the
Is it known?
screen.
Is it known? If you say it experiences what?
I think it's experience thinking about the screen.
Now, one moment.
One moment of thinking, Ajahn.
Hardly to tell.
Yeah. So just see this object. One moment of seeing.
And no understanding the moment when it arises and falls away.
Yes, I understand.
So it's hardly to tell.
Yeah, so we don't understand it, so we see Ajahn. So
Even
that
now.
ignorance, yeah.
Even now, just one moment of seeing cannot be object of understanding. See?
Yes.
Because the citta after seeing is not understanding yet. That's why we learn what appears as nimitta, the shape and form, image, only of seeing, because citta before seeing or after seeing is not known. So it's only nimitta of seeing almost all the time. When there's no hearing, thinking, it's there. But the arising and falling is so rapidly, that's why everything seems there. seeing and hearing, see, and thinking, and more and more and more added. Who can see the declamation of the moment of seeing on the table over there and now? See, impossible. That's why Dhamma is so very subtle. It needs more than once, twice, or thousands, but the understanding develops when there's very wise attention to understand the truth of what is there. So what can be known in life when it's there? As it is, not yet. But just learn about the nature of it, to experience it by way of nimitta, of that particular reality. So we are in the world of Mickey Mouse. Take what appears as something all the time.
And even when not following the meaning of the words that Ajahn is saying, because either we're distracted or it's not our language, so we miss some words for whatever reason, but there's still seeing, there's still hearing, there's still thinking. So even at those moments of missing some words or not understanding Ajah's point, even then there can be understanding. Confusion is real, doubt is real, seeing is real, what is seen is real. So that's why it's any time. It's not a matter of trying to understand the point, but just understanding what appears now, at that time, or right now. Otherwise, it's always I trying instead of just understanding what appears at this very moment. Go ahead.
Thank you,
Ajahn.
thank you, Ajahn. Thank you, everybody. I will think.
When I first learned about the word nimitta, at the beginning, I thought it was for example, the nimitta of seeing. It's the symbol or the mark of the reality that is seeing rises and falls away many times until it leaves the mark as nimitta of seeing. But recently, I just learned a new understanding from Thanajan that it's actually the whole process of idols, starting from the citta before seeing until the end, that don't appear. Only seeing appears. So that the whole process appear as nimitta of seeing. No.
The nimitta of seeing has to be the sign of the characteristic of the reality of seeing itself. It cannot be the sign of the whole process or the sign of other cittas. And when we say the other cittas in the process don't appear, but does seeing appear now?
Yes.
Maybe, maybe not. If it does appear now, it is by way of the nimitta of the characteristic of seeing. Countless seeings have arisen and fallen away, and it is the nimitta of that characteristic which appears. But the reason Ajahn has been talking about it a lot recently is because usually it's the visible object, the object of seeing that appears. It is seen, it's the object of the cittas in the idol process. And usually there is a tending to what is experienced.
Mm-hmm.
But the nimitta of seeing the seeing itself can only ever appear in the mind door. And usually there's not much attention to the experiencing of visible, what is visible. There's instantly thinking about the shape, the form, the color,
Right.
the pattern of what is seen, something there, Mickey Mouse, a person, a table. But what about the seeing, the reality that experiences it? Because without understanding the nimitta of seeing, there's always going to be the idea of I see, I hear, I think.
Yeah.
But it's always the characteristic, the nimitta of the characteristic of that
Seeing.
reality,
Yeah.
not of the process.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to be at risk of being redundant, it's seeing one moment of seeing and then countless moments of seeing before it's even visible object or table. But the nimitta is one moment of seeing at a time.
So, and it's not one seeing, but many seeings that have arisen and fallen away for there to be the nimitta of that one characteristic of that reality itself.
Yes, thank you. Making that firmer.
Robert, you're showing on the screen. I don't know whether you would like to say anything or bring up any topic.
Sorry, can you hear me? Can you hear me, or is my thing not working?
Yes.
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes, perfectly. Sorry, I didn't know I was showing on the screen. I will just stop my video. Nothing to add.
No, go ahead. We're good to see you on the screen.
Yeah, no, I'm just back in the Middle East, just listening to everyone, seeing who's there and who's not, and good to know about more about nimitta and the subtle difference between the nimitta, which has to be known, and concepts which we're usually lost in. Can anyone say anything about the difference between the nimitta of realities and the concepts that we're normally lost in?
Well, one thing we can say is that the nimitta of the reality is what is actually experienced. So it is a nimitta of the reality. Whereas when we talk about a concept, that is really the product of thinking about many realities, because there have to be the thinking of many realities to form up a concept of, for example, an individual or an item like a table. So nimitta is there, and when the reality is experienced by awareness and understanding, it's the nimitta of the reality that's experienced. So that's the only, if you like, significance of nimitta. Whereas concepts are the language of thinking. All thinking has concept as object.
Okay. However, even an animal is lost in concept. They live in a world of concepts. So
Correct.
we need to talk about what is thinking. There's thinking that we conventionally use, thinking in words, which an animal presumably does not have, but the animal is still lost in concepts just as much as us, if not more.
Yes, because concepts don't have to be verbal concepts. They can be image, what we would call a mental image.
Right.
Yeah, but so it's unknown as to what extent an animal thinks in terms of abstract concepts that we are familiar with, like patience or I don't know, the weather or whatever.
You know. Just while we're talking about animals, I was swimming this morning and listening to Nina's book on the perfections. Not the one by Ajahn, the earlier one by Nina about the perfections, and it talked about the rabbit who was the bodhisattva as a rabbit, and rather inspiring. He was ready to give up his life to feed the ascetic, and yeah. Anyone want to talk about the possibility of that? I told Ryan the story, and he really liked it. But then a few days later, he said he's still finding it slightly hard to believe. So I don't know if anyone wants to try to convince me or Ryan on the veracity of that.
The point is, can a rabbit think in terms of giving up its life? Is that what the point of the question?
Well, yeah.
Depends what is being found difficult.
Yeah, the whole story sort of we tend to think of animals as living rather simple, animalistic lives. I guess they just want to eat and try and live and suffer as little as possible. But the bodhisattva, because of his extraordinary accumulations, could think and go much deeper. And even though he was born as a rabbit, which is a result of a kusala, he still had those accumulations to develop the parami. Shows how deep the accumulations go, I guess.
And all by conditions, the unexpected conditions. Who knows what the conditions are, and the conditions for the thinking of the bodhisattva different from the thinking of another rabbit. And we've been discussing quite a lot how when it's not seeing and the other chittas and the sense door processes, then it's thinking all the time. So no matter whether it's thinking of giving up the life of the rabbit or now thinking about the story about the rabbit, the point is there any understanding that it is just thinking? Because usually we're just lost in the story of what is thought about, the concepts, the ideas, and dreaming on and missing the point about just understanding what is precious now, giving up the usual attachments through understanding rather than living as usual, like the mad person, daydreaming all the time.
Good, yeah.
I can't say I've thought too much about this kind of allegory, if that's what it is, or story. But there are instances that we do hear of animals displaying instinct and reasoning, if you like, far beyond what we would normally assume they were capable of. Instances of heroism by dogs, for example, instances of communal behavior by herd of elephants, and grieving and memory,
Sure.
This sort of thing. So there are odd instances which indicate that the animal mind is not just one of where's the next meal coming from. And so
That's my conclusion too, right? Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Robert. And Hung has a...
Can I just add a little bit
Go on
about
now.
about the Jagata? It's about the accumulations of parami by the Bodhisattva, and one parami is Dana parami, and one of the Dana parami is giving up the body and body parts for the benefit of others, and I think it's for the benefit of an ascetic a wise person. So it's just, I just think it's just part of the long process of becoming Buddha. It's not. I don't think they are expected to do that sort of behavior, to have that sort of dana, like giving them our own body or limbs for the benefit of others.
Right. They call people like us, if we're on the path, we're called Seka. Is that right? Seka Bodhisattva. We're not the one like the real Bodhisattva, but still developing the path, but not to the degree.
Savaka Bodhisattva.
Yeah, Savaka
Follower.
Bodhisattva.
Savaka.
Yeah. But I just find it good to know that accumulations, even when born as an animal, they're still there. And I thought that was an interesting part. Even the Bodhisattva, he was born as an animal, and he could still develop understanding or something. He could still develop the path to some degree. So that's a bit encouraging, I think.
Ajahn was stressing the other days, I think she's mentioned before, when you've been here, Robert, about how when she reads a Jataka or any story, it's not to remember the details, but just understand the main point. So maybe the main point is just how there has to be, with understanding, sooner or later, the giving up of everything in life, whatever one is attached to, people, family, one's usual food. So as Alberta said, the long path of developing the paramis, and through understanding the relinquishing of attachment, the development of contentment and other factors, through understanding life at this moment. Is there anything you'd like to add, Ajahn?
No matter how much we talk about Jataka and elephant and rabbit, it's not to understand what is there now, right? So there can be a little more considering about each word, whether it is understood clearly or clearer, little by little. For example, nimitta, if there is no understanding of the teachings of the Buddha at all, what does anyone think about nimitta? Why not? Why we, as soon as we say out nimitta, everyone knows what it means.
Yeah, without listening to Dhamma, nimitta was just like...
We don't talk about the moment after hearing the teachings, but before that, when we heard the word nimitta, what is your thought?
For me, it's a dream. It's mean a dream.
Have you heard this word before? Nimitta? Not at all?
Yes, I did.
A dream? It's real? Or nimitta?
Nimitta, it's...
Someone would say, I dream. Someone would say, I nimitta.
No.
Someone would say, nimitta. Thai, different part, different.
Talking about English. In English, we don't use it.
Okay, so now you are Thai.
Yes.
Have you any idea about nimitta before hearing the teachings?
I just know that it translates like...
Translate? Thai? No need to translate.
The meaning.
In daily life, have you heard any word? Nimitta?
Very rarely.
It's nimitta. It's just a dream.
Yes, it's dream.
See,
Dream. Yeah. Yes, that was yeah.
when you say no, not at all.
Yeah, I've heard these words since I was little.
Yeah.
And
Nimitta.
everybody generally knows, like when you said nimit, it's dream.
Mhm. Yeah, in Thai.
In
Yeah.
Thai, nimit means dream.
So now, when we come to the Pali word,
Yeah.
nimitta, if nothing appears at all, can there be any nimitta?
No.
And whatever appears, it appears as it is or not as it is. So it appears by way of nimitta.
Yes.
That's why even the citta before seeing arises just once, and sampatichana arises only one, seeing arises only one. Why there's no nimitta or sampatichana or panchatavara vachana?
Because they arise only once.
Because it does not
Appear.
But seeing now appears as seeing sees what
The
is
visible
seen.
object. Yeah.
So everyone understands the seeing, it sees, but no understanding that it's no one. It's just a reality. That's why we develop understanding in daily life to understand what we have heard or thought before. It's not real.
No.
The truth of it is much different, because in life we usually think about the idea of someone or something. I was born, and so on and on. I see, I hear, and on and on. That's why what appears in any world only through the 6 ways, one at a time, no matter in what world.
Yeah.
More than that?
No.
Why not?
Because that's the way it is.
Because it's now as it is.
It is.
It's now as it is.
So, Thanajan Kap, for the nimitta of seeing appears because is it because of the function of seeing?
Because object of seeing appears to no matter what citta.
Because citta doesn't appear.
But the object appears.
Yes, Aramana appears.
Throughout the day, only that which is experienced. That's why it's the nimitta of the object taken for something or the type, shape, and form. And also nimitta of seeing, but it's not only seeing there. That's why we begin to understand what is used for the word nimitta, that which is there to be known, that is there.
That's why we discussed earlier that it's usually visible object that appears, because it's the object of the citas in the sense door process, and there's attention to what is seen all the time. So it's usually what is visible that is seen more often. But seeing itself can appear if there are conditions, but usually it doesn't appear.
Yes, it can be with the right condition. It can be seeing can appear by nimitta. Yes, with the right with the
whatever appears by nimitta,
nimitta,
and always by conditions.
With enough understanding.
Right, it would only appear to awareness and understanding.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what I'd like to hear, and what this group really emphasizes, is that we're not trying to change reality at all. Yes, Nina. Yes, come here a minute, Nina. I'm talking to Sujin and all the Buddhist people. Say hello. Come on. Come here. Nina's homesick.
Glad to see you, Nina. We heard you on an audio, so I'm glad to see you. We have 2 Ninas here in the discussion now. Senior Nina and Junior Nina.
So the emphasis is that we're not trying to change anything. It's just understanding that understands the way the world is. Whereas for a lot of Buddhists, I think they have the idea that they should be changing the mind or changing something, but it's really about seeing the world as it is, not changing it to anything else. And I think that's an important point. That
because the changing is the I. It's the
Right.
idea of I trying to change, wishing to change. So it's the opposite of right understanding.
Right.
And there's also the idea that kusala and understanding, for that matter, can be encouraged to arise by doing certain things, like, I don't know, concentrating on something or other, or whatever it might be. So there's certain ideas at the back of that. Wrong,
Yes.
not understanding
Right.
the conditioned nature of realities.
Right. So the right understanding informs the way we see the practice in quotation marks, in the sense that it's just understanding what is, with no idea that something should be different than what it is.
That's
the
right.
Dhammas are conditioned to arise, so they should be understood, not changed into something that they're not.
And I think allied to that, it's understanding which brings enlightenment, because that's what enlightenment is, isn't it? Seeing through to the truth, or penetrating the truth of things. It's not the absence of kilesa that brings enlightenment. It's not the absence of akusala that brings enlightenment. It's the development of understanding that brings enlightenment. And maybe people have the idea that absence of akusala is a condition for understanding to arise. They have that idea too. But as we know, it does arise and can take any reality as its object, even if that reality is an unwholesome mental state.
Yes.
John, in regard to citta and the reality which experiences, and it does not appear, it cannot be, but it arises, and it is a Dhamma, and all Dhammas appear or arise ultimately to be understood as much as is needed until liberation, eons away. So in the case of kusala citta, with cetasikas, other cetasikas, but also sati and panya, that panya knows and understands everything, and that citta, that which experiences, can be known, understood by panya. Understanding.
So now we can have a little more understanding of what we think about it, like nimitta. See, we don't talk about that which does not appear, even they are there, but no way for them to appear, like seeing right now. It's a moment of a reality which arises to be the chief of experiencing. When it's not the object through the six doorways, it still arises and experiencing an object because its characteristic is that. So now there can be the nimitta of whatever is there appearing. The moment when nothing appears, fast asleep, real, not die yet. So it's the nimitta of moments when that citta arises on and on until it experiences different object. When that object is one of the five doorways, it impinges on its base. That's all. but the base does not appear, no nimitta of base appearing at all. So we talk about that which appear, that it appear as nimitta, because the rapidity of whatever arises, no matter nama or rupa. So now what appears is that which is seen. We don't talk about each moment, very short. Still, it's the nimitta, because in truth, it arises and falls away more than what it can think about. So now there is the nimitta of that which experiences the object, only that, but not known. That's why we live in the world of ignorance. So now begin to understand it, where the ignorant appear. See, what is there?
When we learn more, consider more, so
At moment of no understanding, it's there.
yeah,
As nimitta as well, not only one moment. That's why beginning to understand what it's meant by nimitta of a reality. So nimitta of visible object, nimitta of sound, nimitta of the reality which experiences the object, but usually in a day, seeing is there right now to be known, that there must be other realities arising before and after, but they do not appear. What can be known now is seeing. So it's the nimitta of seeing, while there are other realities, experiences that object. Only one at a time, like seeing, panchatavara vachana, sampatichana, santirana, only one. But it does not appear. So what appears seeing right now, so it's the nimitta of seeing. But the other realities arising together, it does not appear as nimitta or panchatavara vachana or nimitta or sampatichana, but only nimitta of seeing. And the nimitta of seeing is not anything at all. Like visible object cannot be anything, not a glass, not a table. It's nimitta of visible object, and then nimitta of something, not just only visible object, right? So many levels of nimitta.
So you're saying we talk about every moment of citta and
Of citta, remember?
of citta. So whether or not it's appear or not appear, it's there. But let's say what is useful to understand is the nimitta of what experience.
Understand that which does not appear, that it's there. For example, seeing does not appear. But who think there is no seeing? There is seeing. Even it doesn't appear at all. But the nimitta of the reality which experiences object in different moments. The moment of seeing is the moment of that which experiences as nimitta. So many different moments arising and falling away. So what is known now is seeing, because there is the object which is seen. That's why there must be the nimitta of seeing, but even seeing does not appear as nimitta until when it appears as the object of understanding through mind of nimitta of seeing.
To connect that with seeing and then thinking straight away.
Everything.
Yeah.
Whatever arises appears as nimitta.
And to continue from the topic of seeing just one moment, and then because of the pace of the theta, then so the thinking also very fast to think as a shape and form of a dot to dot to dot. Is that?
Without seeing, can there be any shape and form?
No,
Only one moment of seeing, can there be shape and form of things?
no.
So how many moments? The nimitta of seeing. So it's the word of nimitta. Mickey Mouse, nimitta. Nimitta of Kun Ann or everyone here, all nimitta.
Achan, is may related to the question from Kun Maeve yesterday. You just mentioned about another meaning of anatta is momentary days. So can you elaborate more about the momentary days as another meaning of anatta?
So what is the meaning of anatta?
As my considering is beyond our control.
Our
I mean,
not in
nothing.
anyone's control.
Yes, yes.
Nobody can change the ultimate reality. So what is there?
Just a reality.
See, arising and falling away, performing the moment that there's no more this person after death consciousness. The end of karma, which condition to be this person, seeing, hearing, until the end of karma, to be this person. So there can be this person only in this life. Anatta.
You asked about momentary death. Yes. So now each chitta arises and falls away. So there is death of each chitta, no more of that chitta. So how can there be any person or being when each chitta has risen by conditions and gone completely? So appreciating the momentary death means appreciating that no reality lasts an instant. Each one falls away immediately. So this is why when there is the understanding of realities as anatta, then no more idea of permanence, lastingness at all. Like yesterday too was talking about vipallasa. For the Sotapanna, no more idea of anything lasting, even an instant. Even the hardness that is touched doesn't last a moment. The visible object that's seen doesn't last. Gone immediately. The chitta arises and falls away. Gone. No one there at all.
Yes, I got it. Thank you.
Maeve.
Thank you, Sarah. I know we don't have very much time left, but it's just a question for Ajahn. Ajahn, today here was very windy, and I was watching the trees, and there was a lot of movement in the trees, and it made me think about how we say that chitta has no shape or form. And I thought that I knew that it was windy because of the movement of the trees. I couldn't see the wind. There was no other way for me to know the wind except by seeing that movement. And so I thought whether that was the only way that we can know chitta, by way of what it does, by way of its function, not directly itself. And so that is the question: is can we only know chitta by way of function?
Without that which appears, can there be the idea of windy?
No.
See?
No.
So it's there to be thought about as such and such. Only that, from moment to moment, thinking about the shape and form, not just the color of that which is seen, very short, very tiny. At moment when it is experienced, the understanding of nothing can be taken for anything at all, because it is as it is appearing. And through mind, when it's clear, because the mind experiences any kind of reality, any aramana which appears. Is it windy now? Is it windy now?
As a matter of fact, yes.
Really?
But it points to the and I think I've heard Jonathan say that often the presence of chitta is inferred by what appears. I suppose it points to the function and the conditioning of chitta by way of the appearing of the arising of the reality.
Is now chitta show up?
No, it doesn't show up directly, but by way of there being seeing and listening, it must be there. It cannot not be there.
That's why there are many different kinds of chittas. It can be known when it sees, right? At moment when nothing is there appearing, there is chitta. No shape, no form, no smell, no taste, nothing at all. It's only a reality which experiences. But when the object does not appear, only right understanding can understand that it's there, the reality which experiences. And at that moment when the object which is seen or heard it's not there, it just experiences the unknown object until conditioned for it to experience the other object, not the unknown object anymore. Different moments, but it's there as long as it's not death yet. So death is the last moment of chitta, of this life, to be this person.
When would an object not appear?
Chitta is there for sure. At moment when one is fast asleep, nothing appears, even chitta. But when one wakes up, see, before hearing or thinking, it just wakes up. There must be chitta, depending on whether the object is known or not, but it's there already. Waking up is not at moment of being asleep. Chitta arises and experience no matter what, no matter when, until the object is there, that it experiences that object. So that object appears. Right now, there must be chitta before seeing. But the object of that chitta is not that which is seen. different function. That's why only citta arises and falls away all the time by conditions. Different by conditions, whether it arises with what cittasika, attachment, aversion, or ignorance. But citta is there, unknown, even right now, when it does not show up. But it's there for sure, experiencing or seeing right now. That's why there is citta nupassana satipatthana. At any moment, seeing is citta nupassana satipatthana. When there is attention to the reality which experiences or which sees the object, not the object. It's the way to have less attention to the object because it begins to attend to the characteristic which experiences the object, which is not the object. Not white, not green, nothing at all. But it's there. For one kind. Life continuum.
Thank you, Ajahn. And thank you so much for these sessions, for your patience and your energy. it's
I
a
appreciate anyone's understanding of the truth, even a little more.
And Ajahn, after the process of citta, for example, seeing, immediately mind or processes, and then there's the bhavanga chalana, the bhavanga atita, and the panchadvara ajna before the next, for example,
after
sound.
the idle process, bhavanga cittas, before even the first mindful process.
All right.
And in between the mindful process.
Yes,
That's
thank you.
why when we say immediately, many cittas are there.
I think it's about time. So all the regular discussions will continue from Saturday, and just one moment at a time as usual, always back to now. Thanks everyone at home for joining us. We've really appreciated your patience and all your contributions.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Ajahn. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you.
We've really appreciated all of you at the foundation, including the people